Welcome back to the deep dive. You ever get that feeling some management ideas, even after they're supposedly, gone, just linger?
Oh, absolutely. Like a ghost in the machine.
Exactly. Popping up under new names.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're asking, what happens when a workplace practice, one that maybe even sounds logical at first, actually does more harm than good?
Yeah.
We're diving into a system often called forced ranking, or sometimes more starkly, rank and yank.
And it's a great question because, look, this isn't just some dusty old HR policy. It's really about a philosophy, a way of thinking that got deeply embedded in corporate culture. And you can still feel its echoes today, definitely.
So that's what this deep dive is about, unpacking that.
Exactly. We'll look at where it came from, how it spread so dramatically, and the surprising ways it still affects workplaces.
Even if it's disguised.
Especially if it's discussed. Our mission here is to give you a shortcut, basically, to understanding this pervasive ghost in the system.
Okay, let's do it. To really get this, we probably need to go back to the beginning, the roots.
Right.
So we're talking, what, 1980s General Electric?
Yeah, GE under Jack Welch, he was a huge proponent of this. He called it the vitality curve.
The vitality curve sounds energetic.
Well, the idea, or the stated idea, was to really differentiate talent relentlessly.
How? Through competition.
Intense internal competition, yeah, that was the engine.
So how did it actually work, that famous GE model?
The 20-70-10 system, it became, like, legendary.
20-70-10. Break that down.
Okay, so managers had to rank their employees against each other. It wasn't optional.
Force them into a curve.
Exactly, a bell curve. The top 20%, those were your A players. They got the rewards, the promotions.
That was power.
Then the middle 70%, the bulk, were the B players. Solid, but encouraged to improve, kept on their toes.
And the last 10%, that sounds ominous.
Those were the C players, and often the expectation was they'd be managed out. Let go.
Rank and yank. There it is.
There it is. Now, for the people who liked it, the logic seemed, well, compelling at the time.
How so?
They argued it forced managers to make tough decisions. No coasting, created accountability.
And gave some kind of number, a quantitative basis for pay and firing.
Right. But here's the twist to this sort of counterintuitive thing we found. A system designed to clarify performance might have actually ended up obscuring it.
Wow.
By being based on a kind of flawed assumption about how people are motivated, maybe, more than, like, objective reality. It created this weird self-defeating cycle.
Okay, that's interesting. And it didn't just stay at GE, did it?
Oh, no. It spread like wildfire. Really took hold.
Which companies? Big ones.
Absolutely. Fortune 500 giants, Microsoft, Ford, Amazon. Lots of them adopted versions of it. It became, for a while, a hallmark of that hard-nosed management style.
But things have changed, right? You don't hear rank and yank quite as much.
Explicitly, no. Its open use definitely plummeted. There was one study, I think it showed it went from maybe 42% of companies in 2009 down to just 14% later.
So it died out.
Not exactly. And this is the crucial part. The explicit system faded, but the underlying philosophy, that way of thinking about talent, it's still around. It just changed its clothes.
The ghost in new costumes?
Pretty much.
Right.
Now you hear terms like talent assessment system or performance procedure. Sounds gentler.
But is it really different underneath? Is that ghost still haunting the hallways?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Because while the initial promise sounded good to some, the reality, the actual impact, that's where the problems really started showing up.
The dark side.
Yeah, the dark side. This is where that lingering philosophy really shows its teeth. Because the core idea, pitting employees against each other, it's just fundamentally corrosive, especially today when you need collaboration.
Because everything's interconnected. Projects need teamwork.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But forced ranking creates a zero-sum game. My win has to be your loss.
Which is a huge disincentive to cooperate.
Massive. Why would I help you if it might hurt my own ranking?
Yeah, that makes sense. We actually found a quote from a researcher that nails this. They said, if my cooperation with you might push you ahead in the rankings, and you get the benefit and I do not, it puts me in a tough situation.
Perfectly put.
Yeah.
It makes it personal, right?
Totally. Can you paint a picture, like a real scenario where that refusal to cooperate really messes things up for a team?
Oh, sure. Imagine a complex project. Two people have crucial bits of info, right? Their own secret sauce.
Okay.
In a rank and yank world, sharing that sauce doesn't just help the team succeed. It might directly help your colleague get ranked higher than you.
So you hoard it.
You hoard it.
Oh.
Or you're reluctant to help. Maybe you downplay what you know. In really bad situations, maybe even sabotage.
Wow.
Because it's about survival.
Yeah.
Self-preservation kicks in. And this isn't just like a guess.
There's data.
Yeah. Research from the University of Michigan's Ross School of Business. They did a simulation.
Yeah.
Introduced performance rankings. Saw a significant drop in cooperation. Direct link.
Okay, so it actively undermines teamwork. What about the stress? The psychological side?
Oh, it's huge. Think about it. Constantly being compared, knowing there's a bottom category you have to avoid, even if you're doing good work,
That sounds exhausting.
it generates massive stress, anxiety, burnout. It creates a culture of fear, fundamentally.
And fear kills trust.
Exactly. It erodes psychological safety, that feeling you need to, admit you made a mistake or ask for help or throw out a crazy idea.
Things you need for learning and improving.
Absolutely critical things. But if you're in a cutthroat system, you keep your head down. You don't admit weakness. You don't ask for help.
So if you've ever been in a place where people seem weirdly reluctant to share what they know, this could be lurking underneath.
It could absolutely be a contributing factor, that kind of pressure.
And what does that do to innovation? If everyone's afraid.
It kills it. Innovation needs psychological safety. It needs experimentation, people willing to try things and maybe fail.
Which you wouldn't do if failing lands you in the bottom 10%.
Precisely. The main motivation becomes just don't be in the bottom 10%. Risk-taking goes out the window.
The creative spark just fizzles.
Yeah, it gets extinguished. That pressure is just too much.
Is there a big example of this? A company that realized this was happening?
Microsoft is the classic case here.
Mhm.
They were famous for their stack ranking,
Right, I remember that.
but they eventually abandoned it. Insiders basically said it was killing innovation.
Because people were fighting each other instead of the competition.
Exactly. Competing internally instead of focusing on rivals like Apple or Google at the time.
And what's really striking about Microsoft is, like you said, they were held up as a model for this approach for years. So what finally tipped the scales? Was it just the lack of innovation?
It seems like it was a mix of things.
Mhm.
Definitely the internal friction, the innovation problem became too obvious to ignore, especially seeing competitors thrive with different approaches.
Mm.
And this leads to maybe the most perverse part of the whole system.
Oh.
I call it the high performer paradox.
Okay, intriguing. Paradox how?
Well, forced ranking is supposed to create elite teams, right?
Hey.
Weed out the weak, keep the strong.
That's the idea.
But it actually becomes most damaging when a team is already performing really well.
Wait, how does that work if everyone's great?
Think about it. Your team is amazing. Everyone's knocking it out of the park, exceeding goals.
Sounds like a manager's dream.
Right, but
Yeah.
the system says you still have to find a bottom 10%.
Yeah.
You are forced by this arbitrary quota to label some of these excellent people as underperformers.
Oh, wow. That's rough. You're calling good people bad performers just to fill a slot.
Exactly. It's almost darkly funny, except it's incredibly destructive.
I can imagine. How does that feel for the employee?
Profoundly demoralizing. Imagine being told you're basically failing when you, your peers, even your manager knows you're doing great work.
It would destroy trust instantly.
Completely. And it punishes the very high performers the system claimed it wanted to cultivate.
So the better the team gets.
The more this system actively harms its morale and cohesion. It's this bizarre self-defeating feedback loop.
It undermines its own supposed goal.
Totally. It's like trying to make a prize-winning rose bush healthier by cutting off its best flowers. Makes no sense.
So much for the objective side of things. Let's talk about that facade, because it seems like it falls apart pretty quickly under scrutiny.
It really does. It reveals itself as statistically questionable and legally risky, too.
Statistically questionable how? The bell curve seems standard.
That's the core fallacy right there. The assumption that employee performance always fits neatly into a bell curve. It's just not true for many jobs.
Especially knowledge work, creative fields.
Exactly. In those areas, performance often follows more of a long tail or a power law distribution.
Meaning
Meaning you have a small number of, hyperachievers who produce a massive amount of the value, way out on the tail. But the forced bell curve squishes everyone into the middle or designates folks at the bottom, even if they're really solid performers, just not those hyperachievers. It artificially creates underperformers.
So you punish good people because they aren't superstars, even in a team full of strong players.
Precisely. You're forcing reality onto a curve that doesn't fit.
And even with the numbers, it's not truly objective, is it? There's still a manager making the call.
And that's the other shoe dropping. Despite the quantitative appearance, it's incredibly subjective,
Prone to bias.
hugely susceptible. Managerial bias, favoritism, office politics, it all gets baked in. The numbers just provide this thin veneer of objectivity over what can be pretty arbitrary decisions.
Okay, so you've got a statistically shaky system combined with subjective judgment. What happens when that hits the real world, beyond just bad morale?
Well, that's where the legal trouble comes in.
Yeah.
This combination has led to a lot of costly lawsuits for companies.
What kind of lawsuits?
Class action suits. Ford, Goodyear, Microsoft again. They all face claims that their ranking systems were used, maybe intentionally or unintentionally, as a tool for discrimination.
Against who? Older workers? Minorities?
Often allegations involved age, race, or gender discrimination. The argument was the subjective part of the system allowed biases to disproportionately affect certain groups pushed into that bottom tier.
So the system meant to make firing decisions defensible actually made them less defensible.
Ironically, yes.
Yeah.
It often created the very evidence used against the company in court.
Do we know how much this cost them?
Well, Ford, for instance, settled 2 different lawsuits related to its system for a total of $10.5 million. And that was before they ditched the practice.
Wow. 10.5 million. Plus the reputational hit.
Exactly. Huge legal and reputational risks from a system supposedly designed for accountability. Talk about unintended consequences.
It really does feel like a textbook example of that. So bringing it all together, what's the big takeaway here?
Well, it feels like the spectacular failure of forced ranking isn't just about, one bad HR tool. No, it's much bigger than that.
It's more like a symptom of a flawed philosophy, right? This very individualistic, competitive view of work that just doesn't fit anymore.
Absolutely. It's fundamentally misaligned with how modern work actually gets done, especially complex, innovative work.
It's like this relic, this ghost from another era
Yeah.
that actively harms the very things companies say they want now: collaboration, innovation, morale.
It damages the very things it claimed it would enhance. The evidence really is overwhelming when you look at it.
Yeah.
Pitting your own employees against each other, it's just a recipe for cultural decay.
Doesn't bring out the best. Might even drive the best away.
Often does. So the real question for listeners, I think, is this. If these old ways, this judgment, this internal competition, if they're broken, how do we finally get rid of this ghost? And maybe more importantly, what does a truly effective growth-focused approach look like now? In a world that needs collaboration, that needs innovation, what assumptions about high performance might you need to rethink in your own job, your own team?